Welcome to Perfect-ish, where it's not about having perfect time management, but about perfecting your relationship with time. I'm your host, Callie Brigham, and every week we'll talk all things time and how to maximize it without burnout or guilt. Whether we're chatting with an expert or I'm sharing my 20 years of time management experience, you'll learn simple strategies to make every moment count. Here, it's all about getting close to perfect-ish. So let's synchronize our watches and dive in. Hi, friend.
Hello.
Hello, Jessica. Hello, Jessica. Okay, this is going to be a special and fun episode for so many reasons. But the main reason is I was threatened to an inch of my life by our mutual friend, Dawn Barton, that if I did not have you on the podcast, I was dead to her. Does that sound like Dawn?
That does sound like Dawn, and that's why we both love her so deeply and so through and through.
Yes. So whatever Dawn says to do, I do it.
We do. She never leads us astray.
That's Dawn Barton. She does it. And so the day that she gave me your number, Jess, I was like, yes, ma'am, and messaged you. We started to talk. And the reason I think part of it came up was, if you know Dawn and if you've seen her, she looks good. She looks really good. And I was like, Dawn, why are you looking so good? And she would always say, it's Jessica. It's Jessica. You just have to know Jessica. It's Jessica. And she was right. And we're going to get into what that means. So, Jessica, I started to stalk you a little bit. I'm not going to lie either on that. And I started to watch not only how you present yourself and some really beautiful clothes and really beautiful accessories, but it was deeper than that. I could already tell your style goes not just from the outside, but into the heart. And what I want to do, Jess, is I asked Dawn to give me a few words to describe you. So this is how we're going to introduce you to everybody. Are you nervous? Or are you excited?
Well, I don't want to cry. And I know Dawn is such an integral part of my journey that sometimes when I get nice and quiet and I just think about how amazing she is and how encouraging she is, it does make me want to cry. So I'll be quiet.
Okay. All right. Are you ready? These were the things that she said. Well, and this first part is so Dawn. She said infectious, like the good kind. And I was like, yeah, I know what infectious means. Okay, so she did say that. She said magnetic, brilliant, fun, the real deal. And then this is how she finished. I just love her. And so those were just a few little descriptions that I just want to welcome Jessica Hughes to the podcast from Pink and Red. Hey, Jess.
Well, Callie, I'm so thrilled to be here and so excited to be part. I've been listening to the podcast and love the guest. I got introduced to it when you had Dawn on and have listened several times. So I think I told you before, like, I hope I have something to say that anyone would want to hear. But if not, we're just going to have a great time chatting and talking. And even if all we ever talked about was how incredible Dawn is, I think that it's time well spent.
I think we'll get a 5-star review just right there. That's how powerful. That's how powerful she is. And because we've talked about her so much, I am fully confident she's going to share this episode with her friends too.
No pressure.
Check. Yeah. Check. So when I was thinking about what I know about you so far, and I can't wait to learn more, I was thinking about hats, right? You have worn a lot of hats. Corporate hat, entrepreneur hat, creator hat, and now literally you do help women style everything around a hat or other accessories, literally, figuratively. And we want to talk about some of the mindset of that, some of the rhythm of that, some of how do you build a life that prayerfully is as good behind the scenes as it looks on Instagram and on social, because it looks pretty awesome. And I want to go there. I was actually looking your boutique that we'll talk about, Pink and Red, there in Myrtle Beach. The little tagline that I saw, it says, on a mission to inspire delight.
Absolutely.
And that's what I want to do with our conversation today. We want to be on mission and we want to inspire women. And so part of that, Jess, is for us to get to know a little bit about your story. So you have been in those different arenas, corporate, entrepreneur. Tell us a little bit about that and tell us about those two worlds and what happened.
So, I mean, how much time do we have? I will try to keep it brief.
It's a time management
Well,
podcast, but
being
make
so
time for
prepared
what's
and
good.
quick. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I graduated from college, and while I was in college, I was craving some stability. I moved around a lot as a youngster, and I changed schools a lot. So college was the only school that I went to from start to finish. And so I think what I needed more than anything was just to know I had some sort of stability to start building my life as a human on my own. And so I joined a bank, BB&T. It was at the time, now it's Truist. And I was part of their management program. And I spent 9 to 10 months training in different areas of the bank and checked box A, which, if you know, you know, means send me anywhere. I want the best opportunity. And at 22, I got sent to rural West Virginia to manage a couple of retail bank branches. And I didn't know anything about West Virginia. I didn't know anything about snow. And truthfully, I didn't know anything about anything. But I was surrounded by some really incredible people who mentored me and helped me and were patient with me. And I really grew up at the bank. I did lots of different things at the bank. And over the course of 19 years of being there, and moved around a couple of different places, and got married, met my husband in a roundabout way through the bank. Most of my friends were at the bank. And so just really felt like my life was there and loved it, loved the things that I was able to do. When my husband's and my worlds started to collide a little bit in the bank, it felt like it might be time for one of the two of us to do something different. And I got to be the lucky one that decided what she wanted to do when she grew up. And those were some really hard conversations for my husband and I to have together because I didn't know. I really, truly didn't know. I'd never given myself permission to think about what I would do if I could say, I don't want to do this anymore. Let's figure it out as we go. And thankfully, my husband is a human being that helps me to be brave. He encourages me and let me be brave and let me figure that out without the pressure of specific timelines or things of that nature. So I realized that in and of itself is a blessing. But what I decided that I really wanted to be when I grew up was a calligrapher and embroiderer and, and designer of things that could be used for stationery and things of that nature. And Callie, one thing I've never had, maybe I should have, but one thing I've never had is fear of not being able to figure something out. So I take big old jumps sometimes, definitely not having it figured out. And this was definitely one of those times. So it was about, as we record this, it was actually 7 years ago this week that I met our sweet friend Dawn. I was at a conference that I really jumped out of my comfort zone to go into. And it was about making things happen. Like it just hit what I needed at that time in my life. It was a very emotional couple of days for me. And I remember meeting Dawn, and we didn't even have really deep conversations. It was very surface level, but she said, you can do that. And I was like, well, Dawn thinks I
Yes.
can do it.
Yes, she
Um,
would say that.
but it was like the Lord put her in my path in that moment because I was so scared of the unknown. Even though I felt like I could figure it out, I was so scared of the unknown. And all the women in that room at that conference, I think we were all put in each other's paths for that reason, because sometimes you just need to feel like you're not the only one who's at the cliff of like, am I doing this or am I not? So it was literally during that conference that I said, I'm leaving, I'm doing it. And I just started speaking into present to the folks there. Here's what I'm going to do. And literally was making that up as I went along. But I called my husband on the way home from Chapel Hill. We lived in DC at the time. And I said, okay, I'm going to do it. A year from now, I'm leaving the bank. And over the next year, I'm going to figure this out and this out and this out and this out. So I was making my plan, making it happen. And so I think the Lord heard that plan and he just kind of giggled my way a little bit. And it became, the opportunity presented itself much sooner than I thought through a merger and the way teams were being combined. And there was an opportunity for me to basically leave the bank and not have to quit, but through some reductions in force and some things that were going on, it really ended up being a great deal for me. But that means everything was fast forwarded. So I started Letter Jess at my kitchen table. I went and bought a new laptop. It was pink. But I started Letter Jess and said, okay, what's it going to be? And over the course of doing that, we also were moving to Myrtle Beach to build our permanent home. My husband was going back and forth. And I realized really quickly, I'm not built to go from a team of lots of people around me all the time, a calendar full of things, tasks, people to meetings, conference calls, to just like crickets chirping in the corner. It was not meant to be. And there was a little boutique in town that I liked to go and shop in every once in a while. And one Saturday I was in and it said part-time help needed. So I was like, oh, I could meet people. So I sent my resume to this little boutique and they called me and said, did you mean to send your resume here?
I was going to say a little bit overqualified, Jess.
Did you mean to do that? And I was like, yes. And I gave just a little bit of background on what I was doing. And that little, didn't know it at the time, but that was maybe the biggest email, the most important email of my life being sent, because the next couple years went by. Letter Jess was growing and I met my clients locally through that boutique. But over the next couple of years, the opportunity arose for me to buy some of the assets of that boutique. And that's how Pink and Red was born. So we are literally in the location that that boutique once was. So many things are different. And so many people and paths cross and timing and are we doing this? We're jumping in and we're doing it and we're figuring out. But to loop it back to, I think, where we are with time and the concept of time and the relationship that we have with time, it is definitely not something that I'm a champion of, that I have figured out. And I think if I could say one thing to anybody, regardless of what kind of decision you're needing to make or where you feel like you are on a path and how figured out you have it, it's okay not to have it figured out, because those people who are going to help you figure it out or help it make sense to you, help supplement like areas that you're not the best in with areas that they're the best in. They're going to be around the corner if we're ready to find them or see them or recognize them. So again, a long story and really a fun one in even more detail, but that's really how I made that move. And Pink and Red has been open 4 years now. We're going strong and we are branching out. I'm founding a jewelry brand called LD. And we are anxious and excited to get that out into the great big world and let that be kind of the next phase of how this little dream that I didn't even know I had until it was becoming a reality, to let that sort of continue to grow.
Just there's so many beautiful little statements and little, I think, just little glimmers of hope and encouragement that you've given. And I think I want to go backwards. One of the things that you just finished saying was that it's okay to not have it figured out, whether it is your time, whether it is your dream, whether it is your whatever that looks like, your next steps. Because wouldn't you agree, if it did only work the way that we had it figured out, it wouldn't be near as amazing and just different and special and bigger and grander and crazier than if we had had it our exact plan.
I say all the time, I used to, as a young professional, I think I'm just a professional now. I'm out of the young category, but as a
I
young
would like
professional,
to stay young too. I'm gonna
I'll
lump
just
us in
call
the
that.
young. Yeah, me too.
The question you get asked all the time, where do you see yourself in 3 years? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? You know, whatever the magic number is. And I would always try to have an idea, like here's the end, here's the goal. But I was always quick to say, because there'd been so much change in my life from moving around and things that were completely out of my control. When my parents had to move, we moved. And so you could either go to a new school and thrive and do well, or you could sit in your room by yourself and not. So my attitude was always, okay, what's cool about this place? And so maybe that's where that part of my personality is sort of formed from. But if I'd gotten the path I thought I wanted when I was 22 or 32 or 42, there's so much that's so incredible in life, business wise, personal wise, name it, that I would have completely missed out on. And so that relationship with just being open to what presents itself and being discerning about whether that's a good thing or a bad thing or the right thing at the right time, but being open to the consideration of it might be what I'm the most proud of about myself. If there is a place to sort of be proud in
Yes,
that.
we can celebrate. Yes, we can
Yeah.
celebrate that. I love that we can be both open and discerning. And that the discerning part comes with our intuition and the wisdom that we either have deep inside of us or that we get from a trusted friend.
Mhm.
But that openness, what a fun and adventurous way to live life is that I don't have to know for sure. I just have to know that something beautiful is coming, that this is not it. There is more, and it's going to be better, and it's going to be different than what I thought. Okay, so we don't know each other very well yet, but I feel like we're cracking the code.
This is the start of a beautiful
This is
romance.
the start. I love it. And I was like, no pressure on what to wear here today, too. I feel like I'm channeling a little bit of something. I don't know.
I see it.
Am I
I see
top? Am
it.
I doing okay?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
But what I want to say is, I feel like you said my story at the beginning. I had zero stability growing up. I was always the new kid at school. We moved all the time, like more than anybody that I know. My husband, his parents moved into their house when he was 1 year old, and that was literally the house that, you know, 40 years later, 50 years later. I have no idea what that feels like.
Yeah.
None.
Yeah.
So, in some ways, having a colorful childhood, I also created stability. I went in the corporate world. I wanted to make a name for myself. I didn't want to have to not know what was happening down the road. I did that. And then look at both of us. We're now both entrepreneurs, which is the complete reversal. And here we are back to our roots of, in some ways, yes, we can create stability, but
Mhm.
we've both chosen paths that have brought us back to some uncertainty in life. And
Absolutely.
how interesting is that? That sometimes it has become maybe a superpower, even though it was a big challenge. And I think we both say it lightly, but we both know it's not.
Yeah. I think I was surrounded by so many incredible people growing up. My family would not have developed this crazy, maybe self-confidence that I have were it not for their belief in me and the way that I was raised and those experiences. So I don't want to make it sound like I come from a terrible childhood. It just was, we moved a lot.
I can echo that too. I can echo that. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I was not actually around a lot of people who were entrepreneurs. And so I didn't see that on a day in, day out, like what that thought process is. So it didn't feel like something that was very possible to me. I mean, I needed to eat. I needed to pay rent, buy a house. I needed to do all those things. So the stability of a salaried position with growth opportunities and things like that, there's nothing wrong with that. I just got to the point where I had the chance to do it. It seemed to make sense in my marriage and my relationship and where our life goals were going to take the chance and do it. And so we did. And I say we because my husband, although he's not in the business with me, he is such an encouragement. Whether it's your husband, your best friend, your mother, your grandma, whoever your person is who just believes straight to their guts in you, that's, I think, maybe the most important thing is that somebody's going to give you either thoughts of, this is great, you're going to kill it, you can do this, or have you thought about what are you going to do about this, or what are you going to do about that? And those are questions that are sometimes hard to answer and hard to dig into, because you realize really quickly you don't have the plan you might need to have. But that's absolutely invaluable to get to that sort of thinking before you've got it all on the line, so to speak, I think.
I think that's what makes a great support system, is that they both are the encourager and then they're their counterbalance.
Yes.
And maybe did you look at it from this side? I have a husband that does that too. And I was like, of course I didn't look at it from that side. Whoopsies. So yeah.
What about me
Let
makes you
me,
think I thought that all the way through?
let me go ahead and recalibrate just a minute. So one of the things as we're touching on this entrepreneurial just journey experience, what you would have is that both of us left, and mine wasn't 9 to 5. I was in TV news, but still, we left a 9 to 5 for a 24/7
Yes.
because even though I know your boutique is not open 24/7, when you have your own business, you're always thinking about it. It's always on your mind. So, does the burnout, or I don't want to say that in a bad way. Let me rephrase. Does the attention to it, does the time spent on it, maybe sometimes it feels burnout, maybe sometimes it feels overwhelming. How do you balance that with having a life and having a business? Is that ever a struggle, or do you just have it figured out?
I don't have anything figured out, but I think I don't know how I say this and it not sound different than how I mean it to, so I'm just going to say it. I genuinely love what I'm doing so much every day that are there days where there is someone that is ornery, needs a hug, and makes it a little harder to
Oh,
love that
I gotta write
moment.
that one down.
Um,
Sometimes they just need a hug. Okay.
Sometimes somebody needs a hug, but they're a little
Needs a hug.
prickly.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. There are days like that. There is, you get a notice that your insurance premium is due and you forgot you had insurance. There's a leak from the restaurant next door. We have to tear out the whole back room. Obviously, there are things, paying sales tax. That's not fun. But there is something genuinely fun and exciting in every day that counters that for me. And for me personally, and I think the reason I was meant to be in this business, I get such a thrill from working with people. And as women, what we wear and how we feel in what we wear, whether we want to admit it or not, or at least this is just me being very personal and vulnerable, it does affect how I feel like I'm ready to take on my day. And there are so many social pressures on us about how we should look or what size we should be, or should we look our age or not look our age, or all those kinds of things. And so when I can literally see someone go into a dressing room and come out, and you can see on their face they didn't expect to feel that good in something. They didn't think they could wear it. They didn't think it would be their size, or they didn't think they would like that color, or that it was age appropriate. And I hate that. To see someone sort of have that moment over something as simple as a t-shirt or a dress. I mean, am I changing the world and world peace or curing cancer? No. But if I have one lady who walks out with something in a bag that made her feel really good in that moment, how many people get to say that? They do that 10 times a day or 5 times a day. And that's what I feel like, something as simple as a bright pink dress or a necklace or a gift you're giving someone, and it's the one they open at the shower that they love the most. You know that we all do that at showers. Which one was the gift? That's a really cool part to play in someone's life for a moment in time. And that's what drives me. And truthfully, I get that in person, and I get that we have a lot of clients who never have walked into our store in Myrtle Beach. They found us on Instagram or on TikTok or Facebook or our website. And some of my best customers I've never met in person, but I can size them from afar. We've had conversations. I've gotten to know them and know what they do and how they wear their clothes. And That is so fun. That is so fun. And so that makes the spreadsheets and the sales tax and the insurance and the prickly pears so much more manageable, because as soon as one of those things happens, there's someone that's coming in or messaging, and it feels really exciting to get to be part of all those moments with them.
I think it's perspective, right? And we
Mhm.
have we have a choice on perspective.
Mhm.
And I think too, as you were talking through it, I thought, okay, on a practical level, there are certain things that we should do to make our life run smoothly. You, of course, have to do spreadsheets and insurance and sales tax and inventory and, right, all those
All
things
the things.
are part of it. Yeah. And so for a woman in her life, that might mean grocery, meal planning and prepping for her week with her weekly planning session and, all those little things that may not be the things that we love. But what we have to remember is, why are we doing it? We're
Mhm.
doing the meal plan so that we can have a memory with our family around the
Right.
kitchen table, or so that we can have that dinner party on a Friday night with our best girlfriends, or so Jessica, sometimes I think we get it mixed up. We
Mhm.
want those feelings, they're the good ones, but we discount that we have to do the other. But when we marry them together, it
Mhm.
really makes it worth
It's a
it.
it's a total of the experience. There's a give and take in everything we do in our lives, with our careers, with our families, with our friends, with whatever. And as long as the thing that we get to take from it feels worth what we give to it, then I think the equation is in balance. And a question mark moment, and maybe this leads to some of what you're alluding to with burnout. May not be burnout, but when you feel like you're having to give more than you get back, that's the moment of okay, then how do I get that back into balance? So maybe I've spent too many hours this week at my desk on the spreadsheet. I need more people time. So sometimes that says, this part just has to wait. It's not going to be the thing I focus on today. And that nags at me because there's a to-do list item that's not done. But I am always going to trying to talk with somebody or take care of somebody in that way ahead of the other stuff. Now, it's not to do the other stuff. I can't put it off too long, but that helps me to get it into balance, and to make it feel like it still is the most fun thing that I want to get up in the morning and go back to doing.
I mean, the relationships at the end of the day, right?
Mhm.
At the end of our lives, what do we look back and value the most?
Yes,
It was not the tasks, it was the people.
exactly.
You've said it twice now, not necessarily in these words, but I want to pull it out. You just said, how do I get back in balance? And then earlier, you said that one of your superpowers is not having fear of not being able to figure it out. And I feel like those tie into each other. The way I've always said it is, it's not can I, because when we say can I, that opens ourselves up for I can't, or all the problems or the things that are just not going to work out.
Yeah.
But when we say how can I,
Mhm.
then guess what? We're already in problem solving. We're already believing we could do it. And I think that has been a big part of success for you. Wasn't can I do it? How can I do it? And that opens up a world of possibilities. So I heard those two things in some of your messaging. Would you say you're a how can I kind of girl?
I am a how can I girl, and I'm gonna carve a little caveat here to that, because there can be a lot of darkness in the how can I sometimes, because that doesn't necessarily mean it's a quick moment. And I have a good example of that. I told you when I was thinking through letter jest, calligraphy and embroidery were, monogramming. I'm a good Southern girl, so if it ain't moving, monogram it. And so I thought, I'll get an embroidery machine and I'll build a website and I'll sell monogrammed things. So because I'm a go-getting kind of gal, I ordered a commercial embroidery machine. And here it comes to my house. I'd never picked up a needle and thread, Callie. I didn't know. I'd never
That's
sat in
quite
front
ambitious.
I've never sat in front of a regular sewing machine. I didn't know the difference between, I literally Googled what is a bobbin when I was reading the directions on how to set the silly thing up. So the things that don't necessarily maybe make it to every success story that we're trying to write is the hours that I sat in the floor of the, in front of the machine by myself in tears, wondering, what have I done? What was I thinking? Why did I think I could do this? And those are very real moments, and they're very real feelings, and they're very scary. I think that how can I moment though comes is the reason that you wipe the tear away and you just find another YouTube video. It's the drive that makes you say, okay, it has to be out there. Somebody knows how to do this. Like, how do I find who knows how to do it? Who will be generous enough to pour a few minutes into my journey? And I always feel like my grandpa used to say, the worst they'll tell you is no. So I'll always ask. And I literally found a stranger on the internet who had a monogram shop. And I emailed her and I said, you don't know me. I'm in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And I thought this would be easy. It's not. I have three. Could you answer three questions? And she said yes. And she pointed me in the direction of some resources that helped me. And I literally have a box in this closet of 44 things I tried to monogram and ruined while I was teaching myself to do this. I will never throw them away because they are reminders of how that was. But when I did my first monogram and it sewed the right way and all the letters were in order and it didn't break the machine or what I thought was breaking the machine, there was a different kind of tear. And it was a tear of absolute relief, because that's when I realized not, I'll just buy a monogram machine and do it. It was, I did it. So there was one thing that I could monogram. And I knew if there was one thing, then there would be two things. And I knew if there were two, there would be three, and so on and so forth. And so I can't tell you now that I know how to monogram every single item. I know how to do every single technique, but I figured out what my clients were looking for, what I like. And I focused on learning to do that. And every skill that I added to the repertoire that is still, we're doing it right now at Pink and Red. It felt like, okay, got that figured out. Let's figure out the next thing. And so step by step or piece by piece, that became the next step forward. Another caveat to that I will say is, and I think this is really key to my relationship with time and time management, is it's really hard for me sometimes with that sort of strategy about figuring things out. It means I don't exactly know how to tell someone how to help me. And the pitfall of that is when you've got this figure it out nature, I'm not writing down what I did. I just remember the process of figuring something out sort of locks it into my memory. So I am currently in this actual moment. I have a full-time employee now who is an absolute gift from God, who I have given her a fancy title, Director of Operations, because she also is a figure it out gal. And the two of us are going to figure out how to figure it out and write down what we did so that next time we have systems in place and infrastructure in place, ability to scale as our business hopefully grows, that will allow us to bring more people on, that will allow us to share the knowledge that we're building. Who knows what that could turn into, but there's only two hands, her two hands, all the team, we only have two hands, and we all have the same amount of time in the day. So when we're trying to figure out how do we grow beyond what the two of us can do, the 3, 4, 5 of us can do, it has to be something that doesn't just rest on these shoulders. It has to be something that you can figure out. A, it's okay to ask somebody to help you. B, pay attention to what you did so you can tell them what to do. And C, trust that they're going to be learning as they do it, and they may even figure out a better way. It doesn't have to be my way. So those are lessons probably none of us will ever fully figure out how to do perfectly, but that's where we are in this stage. And I say we because the entire team of folks that are working with us have been so patient for me, to me, and with me. And now as we're moving forward, like you can really see a difference, I think, as we figure that stuff out and are able to share the responsibilities of those things with each other. And hopefully that will, like I said, allow us to let the breadth of what we do in our mission to inspire delight. I hope that grows. That's the goal.
Girl, you just gave a masterclass training in just about everything.
Oh.
You did. You hit business, you hit emotional management, you hit systems, um you hit so many points. And what I think about were the tears that you talked about. The tears of frustration and the tears of elation of I did it and I pushed through. And Jess, at some point, if you wouldn't mind taking a picture of your box of your 40 mess up monogram, I want to see it. I love that you kept them. I love because they are a reminder, right? They're a reminder of humble beginnings. They're a reminder that failure is just a teacher, that how far you've come, how you're taking people with you now. What a beautiful, and I'm sure in the moment as you're sitting in despair on your floor, it didn't feel powerful, but let
No,
me
it did
say,
not.
friend, that is powerful. And
Mhm.
I have a feeling that through all of this, as we kind of wrap up this conversation, that because of that, your definition of success has shifted from what you thought back in probably a new college grad and in banking, and then now as a business owner and having employees and all of that. So yeah, what is success for you? And of course, we're going to want to support your boutique. We're going to share everybody how to do that because we want you to be successful even more beyond your wildest dreams. But what does that look like now?
I genuinely, as a younger person in a corporate environment, I felt like I was being successful if I got a promotion or if I got a raise, if, we had annual reviews, if my manager was happy with what I was doing, or if I had some jobs along the way where there was a widget count, so to speak. So did I hit my goals? Okay. And now the success of the day, there is a success in every day, and that's maybe the change. It's not necessarily defined by a parameter that someone else decided for me. Maybe the biggest, and I think out loud, so this may not make any sense, but I'm literally thinking of it as I'm saying it, but maybe the biggest joy of the entrepreneurship journey is that you daily figure out what was the success. What is that? That it is up to you. You get to determine what that is. It's not determined for you. So uh, I'll give an example. Allie and we have an HQ day here in my office at least once a week where we just get into all the things. And I have to be away from the store to do it because I'll stop and go talk to people. So we come to HQ, and there was something we were trying to figure out on the website, and I was just banging my head on the table. I couldn't figure it out. And it's literally been something that kept me up for a couple of nights because it used to work fine, and I couldn't figure out why it wasn't working that way anymore. And Allie said, "What about this?" And we tried it. And I swear the birds chirped, the sun shone brighter, the rain cleared away. And I was like, if we do nothing else today, we just moved heaven and earth and figured that out. And that felt real good. So those are the things. And there's no monetary value assigned to that, except it made our website better. And maybe that helped someone find what they're looking for easier. So yeah, maybe it does translate to that, but that's the joy in your own journey, is that you determine. Today I sold 15 dresses, and that feels like the success because I needed to hit a certain, there is, at the end of the day, it's a business. It needs to make money and pay for itself and give you capital to invest in other parts of the dream. But it could just be, we have a brand new customer who didn't think she could wear Lily and she found something she loved. Or we're dressing somebody for their rehearsal dinner, or a baby's on the way and we're going to monogram some goodies for it, or something like that. So those are definitely the fun successes that we get to focus on.
You nailed it. You nailed it. I was listening to a guy that works with his wife. They're both entrepreneurs, and he said they have a 7:30 p.m. alarm set on their phones that every night at 7:30 they have to say what was their win for the day.
Yeah.
And he's like, some days it was just that I had a really tasty lunch. He's like, because some days are just kind of went off the rails, like not awesome. He goes, but we cannot not have a win or a success for the
Mhm.
day. And I just think gratitude fuels more. There's
Absolutely.
just going to be more abundance through gratitude. That was
Absolutely.
so good. I love when you think out loud because you harness some brilliance there. So, okay, for people that want to know, hook me up with pink and red. I want to, and let me just say, Jess, you are so cute every day. You're on a reel on Instagram and you're having a new outfit or new dress. And it's just it just makes your day brighter and beautiful. So tell us where to find you. Tell us how to connect. I know you've got a rewards program. We'll link
Absolutely.
everything in the show notes. And at the time of this airing, you've got lots of super fun things for the summer. We're the beginning of July. We all want to look really cute, whether it's for a summer party or by the pool or a wedding. So
Absolutely.
hook us up.
Our store is packed to the brim. Let me just go ahead and say, with all kind of goodies. And obviously, we specialize in print and color and bam. We are definitely a maximalist sort of feel, but we do neutrals too. They're just in the corner. Okay. So there literally is
There's the
something for
corner.
everyone. We have infants 3 to 6 months, up to 2x, 3x extended sizing for our ladies when we can get it and feel good about the quality. We are a Lily Pulitzer signature store, which means I'm the owner. We're not a corporately owned store. But we also specialize in offering brands that are owned by women and headquartered in the South when possible. So when you shop with shoppinkandred.com or Pink and Red in person here in Myrtle Beach, you're supporting my dream as a woman. You're able to get incredible stuff, but because so many of the brands we bring to you are women-owned small businesses, you're actually like down the supply chain supporting as well. We focus on using female photographers and anything in town that we need. I try to go to female business owners to do and network with and do. So we believe in Myrtle Beach. We believe in the strength of women owning businesses and being vital parts of the community. And we would love to be able to help you. We do try on videos on Instagram. We try to post on Facebook, but sometimes it just doesn't post. So we do have a Facebook account, and I'm learning TikTok. We post them on TikTok too, if you were on that platform. And that all started. I had a customer who said, "Could you try on this romper and tell me how it fits?" So I said, "I'll film a video of it for you." And I couldn't get it to send, so I said, "I'll just post it to our Instagram account." It was literally the second weekend we were open. And we sold out of that romper that day because everybody was like, "Oh, we want it." So I said, "Okay, well, give the people what they want." So we'll try it on, and you can see it on a real person, and talk about things that fit and how it fits, and hopefully you'll find something that you love.
And speaking of that and the collaboration, Brianna Cannon, I know, has some
Mhm.
of her stuff in your store.
Yeah,
And I love Brianna, and she is actually going to be on a future episode
yeah,
with us too.
yeah.
So
What a
it's
great
so great.
story Brianna is
Um,
as well.
Oh, phenomenal story. Phenomenal
Yes.
story. And my good friend Crystal, that is in Dallas with her, I think has maybe every headband that Brianna has ever made. So Brianna doesn't have to worry about ever going out of business. There's plenty of people.
Hey, it's the
Fantastic.
perfect way to cover up the second day hair, right?
I was gonna say third day, yeah, you got it. You got it. So we'll make sure that we link there. And I know you've got your rewards program, the pink
Okay.
points that people can
Mhm.
accumulate. There's a first timer discount that they can use when they hop
Yeah.
onto your site. So we can't wait for you to dress us and make us look really good
Yeah.
this summer into fall.
Yay. Always reach
So
out to us. We are happy to help however we can. And Callie, we're just so grateful to be part of your platform here. And thank you so much for letting us spend a couple of minutes getting to know each other better. I can't wait to be in contact with you again for certain.
Same here. Same here. And on that note, I have a little gift to you for you. Jess, it is a pretend gift. So don't get super excited. And you can't monogram this,
Oh,
although I'm a good
sure.
Southern girl too. So everything's monogrammed. So it is the gift of a bonus hour. In the midst of all the busyness and everything, everybody coming into the shop this summer, I'm going to gift you the idea of 60 minutes you can do with whatever you want. How would you spend it?
I have been thinking and thinking and thinking about this since you first mentioned it. Genuinely, I live across the street from the beach and I don't get to go that much. So I would wake up my husband early and we would make our coffees and just go sit on the beach and enjoy a few minutes before the hustle and bustle of both of our days and just have some quiet time, even if we're not talking. I think it's just together time and in such a beautiful place like we live, and taking an extra hour to enjoy that, I think would be the greatest way to spend that extra hour.
Well, friend,
Actually inspires me to make an extra hour so that we can
there
do
you
that.
go.
Yeah.
And that really is the gift, is
Yeah.
to say, okay, in the next week or two, if possible, I pray that you're able to carve out that time. And at the end of the hour, not during it, send me a little Snapchat, a little selfie
I
of you at the beach.
will.
So
I
that I know you.
definitely will, for sure.
Oh my goodness. What a wonderful time spent together. And I just appreciate you showing up today with everything you've got, with your honesty and your heart and the energy and all the things that Dawn said that you would have. You brought it. And I feel that you can be from your story, you can be joyful and grounded and bold and wise and sparkly and strategic when needed to be, right, Jess?
That's right.
And this is going to be super cheesy, but I have never done this before, but there's a poem that I happen to know, and I just feel like it is so perfect for your journey. And it says, when we walk to the edge of all the light we have, and we take that step into the darkness of the unknown, we must believe that one of two things will happen. There will be something solid for us to stand on, or God will teach us how to fly. And I just think of your story, and you stepped out into the middle of the unknown, and look at what beautiful mission that you're on, and you're just soaring with it. And
We're
I'm so
flying,
proud.
baby.
We're flying, baby. We are flying. So thank you, Jess, for your time, for just giving us your wisdom and your beauty and all that you do. And I just appreciate you being on with us.
Well, thank you so much, Callie.
Loved it. All right, you guys, till next time. Bye, and God bless. Thanks for tuning in to the Perfect-ish Time Management Podcast. Let's keep the fun going. Follow me on social and join our Facebook community. And if you're ready for some one-on-one time management coaching to reach the top of your game without burnout or guilt, I'd love to chat. Book a free interest call using the link in the show notes or send me a DM. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a 5-star review and share it with a friend who's ready to master their time too. Remember, we're in this together, making real progress towards becoming perfect-ish.